Hey, welcome back. We're the Fantasy Football Weather Guys, Week 12. I'm meteorologist Mike Ventures. I'm here with my good friend and colleague, meteorologist Sean Bratton. How you doing, Big Sean?
Doing good. Going into this week. A little bit nervous about the playoffs coming up,
Yeah.
but they're right around the corner, so just getting ready for those.
I'm fighting to get into the playoffs in our league. It's a tough sled for me right now. I had some injury uh, issues this past week. I mean, I needed, I think, like 15 points from Tyreek Hill to get me the win, and he went out in the first play with this he hurt his hamstring, and
Yeah, it's
now
another hammy injury, which has been
the loss.
kind of the story of his life. He's just been this
Yeah.
season. It's one injury after another you have to be concerned with, and you almost see it influencing Patrick Mahomes this year too.
Yeah.
He's not the same player he was last year.
Man, they dropped like flies at that game in Mexico City. That field conditions were just brutal, and I think it played a role in some of the players getting hurt.
Yeah, where was the game that was played where they only played with 80 yards?
Oh,
Or some where was that? There was another game, and I forget. I think it was another international game where they were only playing with actually an 80-yard. I think it was maybe in Canada, but they were only playing with 80 yards. I feel like these international games, they're trying to broaden, the NFL's brand, but they got to get these fields right.
yeah, it was tough to watch that one. See how many of those players went down. You're hoping for quick recoveries. Good thing that the Chiefs are on a bye this week, so hopefully the players can get back to full strength. But
Yeah.
looking ahead to Week 12, we're hoping that the players are all going to be healthy. But there is a concern here, right? We have some weather.
I mean, the last, and then finally, right? I mean, geez, the last, and this is not really typical of a fall pattern. Typically, things are a little bit more active. They're just not happening on Sundays. So the last 2 or 3 weeks, we haven't had a lot to talk about in terms of weather. But this week, we definitely have a definite impact, a definite event that looks to impact some games on the East Coast.
I think it's been because we've seen a lot of cold air come down across the U.S. So there's definitely the fuel there, the baroclinicity to get these storms kicked off. It's just been timed poorly. I mean, for me in Boston, I think it's rained every day this week except for yesterday. So we're getting the storms. It's just potentially hasn't been hitting on the games. So
yeah, and same thing here in Chicago. Quite frankly, I mean, we've been getting, we've had snow, we've had 5 inches of snow, we've had freezing rain, we've had some rain events recently. We've been in the 50s and then down into the teens.
Yeah.
So big time temperature, big time precipitation changes here. It's just not happening on game day.
Yeah. So we're now looking at what could be a potential weather event this weekend. I am going to, for those who are paying attention on the YouTube stream, I am going to share my screen and kick it off with the weather impacts table for Week 12. And we have one game highlighted here, and that's the Dallas Cowboys at New England Patriots. This is a 4:25 p.m. kickoff time on Sunday, and there's a chance for rain and some wind.
Yeah, and I'm also going to send that. We also want to watch out for the Oakland at Jets game as well, that may be impacted by some lingering rain and also some wind associated with the same system.
Yeah, so Sean, why don't you tell us about this system here from our weather maps?
Yeah, Mike, actually, so what Mike has up here is the GFS model. It's our American model, and we're looking at mean sea level pressure and precipitation. So all those colors you see there in the middle of the map are all precipitation values. The darker colors indicate higher precipitation amounts. So, Mike, what I'm going to ask you to do, actually, what Mike has is this is actually Saturday night. I'm going to ask him to back this up a little bit.
Sure.
Because there was a system that came through, and if you see in the upper right-hand part of your screen, that's what's coming through Friday afternoon into Friday night. Yeah, actually today. And in the lower left-hand corner of your screen in the southeast, you're going to see that there's something else that's going to develop off of this. And we call this a potential vorticity tail. So it's something that builds off of a frontal boundary, essentially. And we have another storm forming over the southeast U.S., and it's going to gain some strength, and it looks like it's going to impact our New England Dallas game and then potentially our Jet Oakland game as well, with possibly some higher precipitation amounts, especially in New England.
Yeah, I think that it's definitely going to be raining in New Jersey here Sunday, but it looks like the storm may kick out of the area before the game begins. So I think that's the concern there. regarding at the New York Jets stadium. There's going to be some wind still, but the precipitation could very well be out of the location. But it's tough with these storms, right? You get a lot of convective heating with these systems, and that can change the structure of the storms and could maybe slow down the storm or speed it up. And that's something that is a source of uncertainty. So since it's so close to that borderline call there, that's something that we're going to keep an eye on. But definitely looks like more of a slam dunk impact for the New England Patriot game.
Yeah, that's a big one because you got Tom Brady and Dak Prescott, which will be coming up later in our show. But it looks like precipitation rates could be a half an inch to an inch on Sunday, which can impact gameplay.
And I think those rates are important. And it's also the important note is it could potentially have those rain rates for the duration of the game, which is what we need to see for those significant impacts, right? You don't want to see – it seems like the games where maybe it rains for a quarter, you still have 3/4 of solid production there. But in those games where you have heavy rain for the entire duration of the game, that's what we want to focus on for those potential risks. Now, the one thing to consider here at the Patriots at Gillette Stadium, it's a turf field. So we're not going to get the mud effect that we saw in Washington earlier this year.
Yeah, no, that was an awesome game. But a lot of even the outdoor stadiums have AstroTurf, so you're not going to get that muddy scene, which definitely has more of an impact, as we saw when San Fran was playing in Washington.
Right.
So that was an awesome game when Bosa was sliding across the field. But still, this could have a really big impact. And to your point, right, like if it's only raining for, and this is one thing we're starting to notice here, if it's only raining for a quarter, coaches aren't going to adjust their game plan. But if it's raining for the entire game, then coaches may have to start strategizing accordingly based on player production and player performance.
Yeah, and we've seen that a number of times. And there, when you focus specifically on the New England Patriots, which we'll get to in a little while, there's some personnel changes going on with the New England team. I think Sanu is struggling with injury, so there's going to be some detrimental impacts without weather already on the pass game. And I do believe one of the New England Patriots linemen is making a return this week, which potentially could help the running game get going. So, regardless of the weather impacts, there are some personnel, some activity going on with regards to the Patriots. So let's talk about some more impacts here. And we'll do that moving forward with our next segment here, the lightning round. I'll just do a quick description to those who are not new to us.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Hasn't really followed too much. And the lightning round is essentially a rapid fire round in which we will provide two names determined by us, and we will decide which player we would rather start or sit, and then why that is. And we're going to focus those impacts on what we try to anyway, at least when there are weather games, but we try to focus those impacts on weather games. So, Sean, how about you kick us off today for the lightning round?
Yeah, Mike, so I'm going to give you two players here. One has not been as hot of lately, and then one has been really hot. So I want to know who you take here. We got Mark Ingram playing at the Rams, at the Los Angeles Rams, or we got Le'Veon Bell in New York versus Oakland.
Ingram has been doing quite well lately. I think he caught 2 touchdowns last week.
He did.
Bell's been a disappointment, but he's still getting the volume. You know what? I'm going to go with Mark Ingram, Sean.
You're going with Ingram.
Yeah.
You know what? I would expect most people to, because last week he had 22 fantasy points in our league. And he was killing. I mean, the whole Ravens team was killing it, including my really bad, poor bus pick of Lamar Jackson.
Oh,
yeah. The whole Ravens team just blew up. Hey, I'm gonna try another at bat here with this one. I'm going with another. I'm introducing another Ravens player, but to be honest, I'm going with Le'Veon Bell. Here's the thing. Mark Ingram had 13 carries for 48 yards, 0 TDs on the ground. He did have 2 TDs through 37 yards passing. So they're playing the Rams over the last 3 games, 73 yards on the ground. They've been a top 5 rushing defense the last 3 games, and they have not allowed a rushing TD in the last 3 games. The most rushing yards that Mark Ingram has had, believe it or not, amazingly, and this amazed me when I was kind of doing some research here, was 115 yards versus New England. but he's had no more than 15 carries.
Yeah.
So I think that he's going to struggle a little bit here. We don't typically see, two passing touchdowns on 37 yards like we did with Mark Ingram. And so I am going to be actually going with Le'Veon Bell. He's had 15 plus fantasy points in his last 3 weeks. He typically gets over 30 yards in the passing game, so he's still involved in the passing game, especially with the depleted Jets passing game, or I should say the Jets wide receivers. He scored in the last 2 weeks. And here's the thing with Oakland, 140 yards average they give up to runners, okay? They gave up 173 versus Cincinnati, 173 yards on the ground. So they're also their red zone defense, atrocious. They're allowing like 60% red zone scoring and a 72% completion rate to quarterback. So my theory here is that I think Sam Darnold's at least going to be able to get the ball down the field enough. And then I think Le'Veon Bell is going to be able to take over and get in the end zone. Here's the other thing. This is going to be, I think, a windy game. And so I think they're going to rely, and I'm going to get into this in a minute, but Sam Darnold struggles in windy conditions. So they're going to be relying on Bell, I think, a little bit more here. I expect him to get 15 to 20 carries, over 80 yards on the ground, if not over 100, and at least 1 TD.
All right. I like the confidence there, Sean. It's a great argument. The one question I have for you on this here, it seems that the Jets have started to jive, especially with the connection between Sam Darnold and tight end Ryan Griffin. I believe Griffin scored multiple touchdowns last week, and we've seen him take over that role that everyone was expecting. I'm actually drawing a blank on the tight end that was supposed to have that role. Guy got injured. Chris Herndon.
Herndon, yeah, it was Herndon.
I'm a Jets fan.
Mr. IR
anymore because that dude just didn't even play. So,
you're right.
So, but everyone had a lot of expectations for Chris Herndon. I know people were holding on to him, but we've seen Ryan Griffin step into that role now, and really he's been producing quite well. I'm wondering here if he's becoming more of that red zone threat. And I'm wondering if that could steal some of the thunder from Le'Veon Bell, but we'll see.
Well, I think that's a good point. And actually, I picked up Griffin in one of my leagues where I'm struggling at tight end, and I have high expectations for him.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be one of the two people. It's either going to be Griffin or it's going to be Bell. I think you're going to start to see Griffin used near the red zone. But if they get on the 5-yard line or closer, I think they're going to Bell. And I also think Bell has a potential for a pass-catching touchdown here as well. So I would actually, if you want to add another player in there, I'm high on Griffin this week.
All right, so let's go on to my lightning round picks here. So for you, Sean, I have a quarterback matchup duel here. So I'm wondering, who would you start here? Tom Brady, New England's glory goat. He is going against a Dallas Cowboys, or would you go with a Baker Mayfield? Pretty much of a disappointing season so far, going up against the Miami Dolphins.
My vote, and this is a tough one, but I'm going to go with Baker Mayfield here against Miami. Miami struggles against the pass. You don't have the weather effects, and Baker Mayfield's a top 10 prospective top 10 quarterback this week.
I couldn't agree with you more. I am going all in with Baker Mayfield as well. Miami's been giving up the 6th most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. Literally Josh Allen, who's been having a pretty respectable year, went off, right? Scored 4 touchdowns last week, 45 points in our league of record. I think the Cleveland Browns are getting potentially David Njoku back, which should help open up that offense a little bit more. And also it seems like Cleveland's just playing better. Ever since Kareem Hunt has gotten into the mix over the last 3 games, Baker Mayfield has had 704 yards on the air, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and he also put on 24 yards on the ground with the rushing touchdown. And those last 3 matchups were tough, man. He played Denver, Buffalo, and Pittsburgh. So he's been playing well against tough matchups. This is his first cushy matchup that he's seen in some time, and I think he's going to do quite well. On the other side of the ball, Tom Brady, he's going up a tough matchup. Dallas secondary has been really good, giving up the 8th fewest points to opposing quarterbacks this year. You know that Sanu might not play in this one, so you suspect James White will make up some of that on the ground there. But Dallas has been mainly a run funnel defense, right? You're seeing a lot of teams do well on the ground against them. So I do suspect with the Sonny Michel and James White to have reasonably good games this week. And it's been scary with Sonny. As a Sonny Michel owner, you don't want to start him, but there's been some optimistic news. They did just get back one of their offensive guards, and I think that they're going to be leveraging that uptick on the line there, that enhancement. And I think Sonny Michel is going to be running on. I think they're going to be running this game. So and also you have to take in the weather impact, right? With the rain and wind here, we've seen the passing game struggle. Now Tom Brady is at times a machine, but he's been showing signs of age over the last few games, and I think that the Patriots really need to focus on their best player, and that's their defense. And how do you get their defense to be the best? By controlling the ball on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it weird how we've seen the last couple of years Tom Brady start to deteriorate as the year goes on toward the end of the year? And it's almost we're kind of getting a feeling that that's happening now. I think Tom Brady will offer you a good baseline. I think Edelman will be utilized here because he's that good slot shifty receiver, which favors the offense over the defense in these type of conditions. And then he has James White as well. But other than that, as Tom Brady, who do you have confidence in that he has a rapport with? The last time that Tom Brady faced these types of conditions, last time I remember it was against the New York Giants. And I believe that was a Thursday night game. And Tom Brady had 0 touchdowns. 0 touchdowns in that game. So I think Tom Brady can get you the points you need. He's not going to completely give you, a goose egg, but I think you got to really limit his upside here. Now on Baker's side, the other question I have for you, Mike, is who would you take here? Landry or Odell Beckham Jr.?
Give me OBJ all day. I am using OBJ in my DFS lineups this week. I made sure to target him. I think OBJ is going to blow up this week.
Mike, I disagree with you.
Oh, the usage has been there. He's been having difficult matchups. You know what? This is their first good matchup. This is where OBJ goes off. The last matchup that was favorable regarding a passing attack against Cleveland, or where Cleveland was going against favorable passing attacks, was against the New York Jets. And what happened in that game against the New York Jets? OBJ went off for what, an 89-yard touchdown? It was his best game of the season by far. He's got that cushy matchup this week. OBJ is going to bring it.
Wow. You sound very passionate here, Mike. You sound super passionate and super confident. My argument against is I think Landry is being targeted more often. He has more opportunity. They're stacking usually the defense against OBJ. In the last 2 games, Landry has had a 7 and then 10 targets and a touchdown in each of those games. So I suspect against a depleted, not so good Miami defense that Landry's going to end up there again. I'm feeling more Landry this week.
Oh man, okay, we'll see. I just think that they had those secondaries that the Browns just played against Pittsburgh and Buffalo. They shut down the wideout one. There's really good play there, and I think they've been feeding the ball. They've been trying to feed the ball, giving him 10 plus targets to Odell Beckham Jr. So this is finally where he gets a good matchup. He's going to go off, man. I'm telling you.
And it is weird. And usually I would agree with you here, but since the end of October, since the New England game, believe it or not, Jarvis Landry, his line is against New England, 10 targets, Denver, 13 targets, Buffalo, 10 targets, Pittsburgh, 7 targets. And he's had over 50 yards. And in almost every single one of those games except one, he's had a TD.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens this week.
Yeah. So I actually, Collin and I have made a couple bets here with Baker Mayfield. And I've bet him that Baker Mayfield would score more points than Dak Prescott this week. And I also said that Baker Mayfield, in our league of record, would eclipse more than 40 points this week. So
who would get more than 40?
Baker Mayfield.
Whoa. Huge prediction.
Yeah, and he's going to do it 40. On the back of OBJ. I'm telling you right now, you've heard it. Here we go.
Okay, I agree. I mean, he has the potential over 40, but I think it's going to be a mixed effort. OBJ, Landry, if not more Landry. But we'll see. That'll come on Sunday versus Miami.
All right, let's move on to our next round here and final round, the Thunderstruck round. And for those who are not used to our Thunderstruck round, this is where we each pick a player what we think has the highest likelihood of busting. And we're trying to focus this on, again, weather impacts, but it's not necessarily due to those alone. So how about I kick it off with our Thunderstruck here for me, and it ties into my bet with Collin. And my Thunderstruck or bust of the week is quarterback Dak Prescott. He's priced at 6,000 on DraftKings, which is the 8th highest, and he's been the 4th overall quarterback in 2019. The man literally just threw 444 yards with 3 touchdowns and 18 yards on the ground.
Monster performance.
He won me weeks last week in some of my leagues. But the problem is, and many of the stud quarterbacks have seen, except for Lamar Jackson, he's going up against the best defense in NFL, the New England Patriots. And to make matters worse, he is going to have to play in a rain and wind event, which could be the entire duration of the game. And Sean, I actually went back and tried to find any games that Dak Prescott has played in weather. Do you know how many games he's played in?
Well, since he plays in a dome environment,
exactly,
I am going to guess very few.
Yeah, 1 game. And it was back on October 29th, 2017 at the Redskins. Now, Dallas ended up winning this game 33-19, but I went back and watched the film. And I actually did some work there, some homework. The game started off pretty dry. And eventually the rain picked up in the second half, which the intensity got there for a little while, but it's not what we're expecting for New England. The intensity looks much more higher in New England this upcoming Sunday. Dak only threw for 143 yards, no touchdowns. Zeke went off in that game for 33 carries, 150 yards with 2 touchdowns. So you saw the script there in that game.
Yeah.
Just running the ball, right?
And just to speak to that, like, this is where, as much as we talk about player performance and weather, a lot of this comes to coach scripting as well.
Exactly.
What coaches are more susceptible to be influenced or make decisions based on the weather. So Myles Garrett, head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, may be saying, hey, in these riskier conditions, we need to put the ball on the ground. We need to put the ball in our trusted ball carrier, Ezekiel Elliott. Yeah. And so that may be happening as they think about this game on Sunday about getting more of the ground and pound going.
Yep. Ground and pound it all day. All right, Sean, who's your Thunderstruck player of the week?
So, Mike, I figured you'd be super happy about my picks this week because they're all revolving around the Jets.
No,
and
great.
We know how successful the organization of the Jets have been.
To be all fair, they have been playing better.
They've been playing better. They have been.
They're screwing themselves out of draft picks. That's all they're
doing. To give them credit. Yeah. But unfortunately, some more bad news to throw your way. My bus pick is Sam Darnold. And this may come to a surprise because in Yahoo leagues, I should say, he's had an increase on the waiver wire when I was looking, up 15%. So people are grabbing him as a spot start this week versus an Oakland defense that is notorious for giving up big yards, big games, a lot of touchdowns. Okay, so you may say, well, why then? What do you see in Sam Darnold? I look at Sam Darnold
What don't you see in Sam Darnold?
Or what I don't see in Sam Darnold. Here's the thing. Oakland's defense has picked it up as of late. They've actually been around a top 10 passing defense the last 3 weeks, and they've had at least two takeaways in the last 3 weeks. They've only given up around, on average, 208 yards to QBs. So you may say, well, hey, Sean, they're giving up a lot of TDs still, right? They're giving up 2-3 TDs a game. Yeah. And you know what? I don't have as much confidence in the Jets pass catchers. Who are you going to? Robbie Anderson? Crowder is more of a possessional wide receiver. Griffin, I don't look at him as breaking out and going downfield.
Don't forget about Demaryius Thomas.
Demaryius Thomas as well. Yeah, but I don't look at him as a speedster. He's not breaking out. He's not getting by safeties. Yeah,
he's gotten a little bit older.
I don't look at them breaking out here and getting these long bomb touchdowns. And here's the other thing. Sam Darnold, I look at him as the butt man. And the butt man, and what I mean by the butt man is that he's had less.
No, there's only one butt man in the Jets history, bro, and that's
Sanchez.
All right, let's not do the butt. Let's not too many bad memories, please.
And I don't even mean that butt. What I mean by butt is Sam Darnold has had less than 300 yards in every game he's played but one, okay? He's thrown for less than 2 TDs, 2 TDs or less in every game but one. He's had an interception in every game he's played this season, but one. So I think he's throwing for about 220 yards this game for a TD and an interception. Here's the other thing. Sam Darnold, I looked up the weather stats for him. He's played in 8 games in which there's been wind. And I think with that storm system sitting off the coast to the east, we can expect 15-mile-an-hour winds, 10 to 15-mile-an-hour winds in New York for this game. And he has thrown his line in 8 games, 6 TDs, 14 interceptions, around 200 yards passing per game.
Yeah.
So I'm throwing it out there. I'm not as high on Sam Darnold. He's $5,800 on DraftKings. If you look on our website, players such as Ryan Fitzpatrick, Driscoll, okay, the backup to Matthew Stafford, and Baker Mayfield, I'm all taking over Sam Darnold.
Yeah. Not a week you want to start Robbie Anderson there. So,
yeah.
So, all right. I like the call, Sean, though I hate it. And I don't like the butt analogy at all. So, I'm going to root for my New York Jets to do well this week. I'm going to root for my Sam Darnold to do well.
I'm rooting for I'm actually going to my New York Giants game. I'm going to Soldier Field, and
nice.
they're playing at Soldier Field, so I'm going to be there. But I don't know how much I expect. They're looking about the over/under to score only about 14 points this game. So.
Oh. So if it starts snowing, Sean, just let us know, okay?
Yeah, I'll be there live.
Like you didn't do it the last time, but if it starts,
no, I know, and I've been getting a lot of crap for that. So
yeah, no, it's okay. Yeah, I think maybe potentially this weekend we might see a little snow in Boston as this storm moves out. Maybe a little on the back end. You might see that during the game towards the end there, potentially a little changeover in snow. So I think it's been a fun week here with you, Sean. Again, as always. I do want to say to anyone listening on the podcast or watching the video, follow us at FFWeatherguys on social media platforms, Twitter. We're going to be active this weekend talking about the storm. There's a chance we might update this storm, the risk here from caution to extreme. We're going to pay attention. Sean and I will talk it over as the morning goes to make sure to see if this is actually going to be a pretty big storm or not, because it's still a little bit far out to be sure. But there's always that chance. So follow us there. And, follow us on YouTube or subscribe. We're always looking for subscribers. So thanks for that. And Sean, good luck on your matchup. Who are you playing this week?
I am playing Collin this week. So this is a big matchup because this is kind of a do or die for me. If I win, I'm essentially in. If not, it could be some trouble. So to all you out there, speaking of, good luck this week. Remember, make smart decisions. Think if you're in the playoffs, think about down the line. Look at your playoff matchups. Look at who your potential playoff contenders are playing, and think strategically as going into the postseason here.
There you go. Words of the wisdom master there, the beast himself.
I'll take it.
All right. Good luck, guys. Take care.
All right. Bye.